Alright, what the fuck were we doing?
Keep your wits
Homunculus.
about you.
Right. Now. Do you work? It doesn't...
What is that?
What the fuck was that noise you just made? Guessing this doesn't work.
What is
Ugh.
trap or treasure?
No trap. It's definitely a trap.
One and it's
Always keep your eye on the prize.
You're looking at several completely identical homunculi at work. A disturbing sight. The indistinguishable and familiar faces turn their attention toward you, morosely and almost indifferently. One of the homunculi starts to talk, with all the usual arrogance. The specimen. We meet again. Your escape from Comera was both a statistical anomaly and an act of abject cowardice. You should have died in the Dark City, instead of overstepping the limits of your own usefulness. You made too much noise. The monster falls silent. Barely perceptible electrical charges run through the homunculi's body. Then the one who spoke continues. So you're here. Now what? Are you going to bore me with your questions, monkey? Jai unconsciously reaches for the augment on her neck to check it is still there. Bore you, Ashmag? Oh, no. We'll just stuff your skinny arse full of metal. You love pain, after all, don't you? Examine. The homunculi are twitching slightly, as though from invisible electric impulses. They look virtually identical, yet each seems to be missing something. A limb, an implant, even a facial feature or two. The single gaze of the many faces no longer seems full of haughty superiority only. Some kind of a shared defect also shows in it. What is this place? It does not exactly look like a Drukhari laboratory. Not really sure where we're getting that one from, to be honest with you. The clones look around them in a movement that's almost synchronized. A disembodied voice answers you. This dreary vault is lacking in practicality and function, but it's been a passable refuge for me and my research. Why are you here and not in Comera? I am obviously here because this is my laboratory containing my research that requires my attention. The familiar voice of one of the Xenos sounds as though he's lecturing a child. I see you found new company, Tervantius. You hear the Drukhari's voice again, but can't see who is talking to you. Found? Don't you mean made? I've had a backup shell stored away for centuries, but the events of the Spire of the Reaving Tempest convinced me one active body was not enough. Am I talking to one Tervantius or several? Is each of you a separate individual? The homunculi you can see are silent, and yet you still hear Tervantius's reply. His voice seemed to be coming from every side at once. My new multiple form is intriguing, isn't it? I'll leave your question unanswered, specimen, to give you something to ponder. That hole in the ceiling is a peculiar design choice. What happened here? The identical faces look annoyed and spiteful. For a moment it seems the homunculi are about to reply in unison, but a barely perceptible electric impulse stops them. One of them scoffs and mutters through his teeth, just more proof of how unreliable partnerships with lower life forms are. You notice one of the homunculi glance at the hole in the ceiling. Fury contorts the Xenos' face. Tervantius is unable to hide his anger at what happened. Whoever did that and whatever it was they did, it infuriated him a lot. This is our last meeting, Tervantius. You're different from others of your species, specimen. This time around, I want to study you much, and I mean much more thoroughly, which necessitates your death. And I hope dying once doesn't suffice for you.
Wipe your disgusting presence out of existence!
You suffer exquisitely.
That is not what I expected his voice to sound like. Oh god, this is gonna take forever. Oh, I do wish this game had less combat in it, to be honest with you, but here we are.
Savor your delectable angry. With grace and malice. Don't distract me. I mark my path with ruin! I am not a vessel for pain. I am its master. It is handled.
Holy shit. Marzai ripped that guy apart. God damn. Wow, that was a lot easier than I expected. Didn't expect Marzai to just chew him to death in one turn. Like, that was pretty fucking disgusting, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I guess he is an assassin, but like, god damn, dude. That was just nasty. Look at all this trash these enemies had. Oh. At the start of their turn, the wearer recovers wounds equal to the number of bleeding creatures. If at least one wound was recovered, that way, one fresh injury is removed from the wearer as well. I guess we can put that on Marzai. When the wearer uses an attack that is of a different type from the previous attack, they gain momentum equal to their resolve. Oh. Well, I guess we'll also have Marzai wear that. And this is just a booster. Trash. Alright. Marzai. What are you currently wearing? Oh, yeah. No. It's not terrible. Yeah, you can keep the helmet. I didn't want to back out. What would we replay? This is not Marzai. The ritual blade's actually pretty sick. Let's get rid of the provocateurs. There we go. Alright.
I always keep my options open.
What do we got here? This will probably be a fun read. There's a dent on the data slate screen, covered in flickering colored stripes. The readable parts are twitchy and contain repetitions. Numerous prior studies pursued the goal of breaking new ground and recreating and reviving the specimen in the event of its death. The above-mentioned experiment lay the groundwork for modernizing and accelerating the recreation of a living organism from a minuscule sample of bone or muscle tissue. Every variety of living organism has been observed to release a number of chemicals at the moment of death that enable the creation of an entirely identical clone, with intact memories of its prior life up to and including the moment of death, most vividly detailed as to both physical sensations and emotional distress. As mentioned before, even a tiny modicum of bone or muscle tissue is sufficient for reviving or creating an organism in an inadequate lab setup. Bear in mind that work on creating the new body must begin before the third stage of decomposition has set in. Well, that was remarkably tame for a Drukhari data slate. The space around the hollow is littered with lumps of broken concrete. A small wind gets into the room through the ugly hole in the ceiling, stirring up whirlwinds of stone dust at your feet. There's a hole in the lab's vaulted ceiling, and the hollow underneath it points you to the obvious. Something broke into this room, ripped out a piece of the lab, and dragged it outside. You are, for now, mystified as to what that something was. Take a closer look. Through the piled-up rocks, dirt, and thick dust, you're able to make out parts of fixtures that were ripped out of their sockets and thrown to the floor. Parts like these are used for fastening industrial grinders in place at large manufactorums around the Imperium. Try to surmise what destroyed the lab ceiling. You study the edges of the breach carefully, reflect for a few minutes, and conclude that the hole in the lab ceiling was blown by several powerful directed explosions. After some time, you note the characteristic marks on the debris and walls. The ceiling was breached using melter charges. What do you think about all this?
Tervantius was robbed. I really wish I could see his face the moment he looked upon his lair.
Marzai laughs mockingly, then looks around the room.
Although this place, it's not a homunculus's lair.
Too safe, too shabby, more of a last refuge. The work is precise, though not to the neatest. Whoever did this clearly knew what they were looking for and where to strike. Just look at the edge of the breach, Shireen. They were definitely ripped apart by a targeted blast. Interesting.
Let us not dawdle.
So the logical conclusion would be that it was, what's his name? Winterscale. Seeing as he's the only other human we know of on this planet.
Minor setback.
Vicious green sludge is still sliding down the walls of the large, heavy glass capsules. Well, I must say, I'm a bit surprised that he was right here, because we haven't found anything to turn that elevator on with. Unless that's just going to now be a shortcut out of here. You know?
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Guess not. Bit weird. We did everything here, right? No, we did that. Yeah, we did this.
I always keep my options
Well,
open.
let's go back up to the ship, I guess.
Service and practice.
I still can't believe we've been saved. In the Dark City, I often pray to the Exalted One, and now I'm going to need a lot of thrones to hold up my end of the bargain. But I have no regrets.
Do not underestimate the magical power of oaths. The spirits respect those who make weighty vows. Everyone on Fenris knows.
Oh, sorry. The Voxcaster under your armor suddenly spits out a cacophony of sounds. The growl of chainswords, human screams, the screech of metal, and the rattling interference of an active Voxcast. Working the buttons, switches, and tumblers only makes it worse. Yes. Skillfully wielding your tools, you open the device's case and check each part's condition. The Voxcaster does not enjoy your manipulations and hisses at you. Then the lumens on the screen glow red and the broadcast stops. But the calm does not persist for long. Right before your eyes, the device's remains burst into purple sparks and the dead speaker emits the familiar voice of Speaks with Gods, hoarse and feeble. "Oh, star or sky held of the eagle god, heard prayers of your reverence to you through the heralds of est of Quetzaltemir. The nightmare has become real. The darkest left he first, but tank light of the dying strong." Anyway. As soon as the priest's voice stops, your entire body arches with a crack as if electrocuted. You're standing on the tips of your toes, staring at a crimson sky at dusk that has turned into an ocean of spilt blood. Its still surface is broken by a hand with fingers covered in rings, and Caligos Winterscale emerges from the depths, only to take a single breath and disappear once more into the blood. It happens again, and again, and again, until he finally notices you. He throws out his hand and reaches for you. He reaches out, and then the illusion fades away, leaving only a splitting headache in its wake. Closing his eyes in satisfaction, the wolf says with deep feeling, "Do not try to drown out the voices at Vitir. The All-Father sends us the music of this battle, calling us to the Raven's feast. We must make haste." Grox chunks. Even a fresh recruit with the teeth knocked out would have given a clearer report. What happened there? Processing acquired data. Restoring. Restoration complete. The slightly altered voice of the priest comes from Pascal's Vox systems. "O Starborn, Sky Herald of the Eagle God, hear the prayers of your servants sent to you through the myriad forests of Quetzaltemir. The nightmare has become real. The darkness has left the forest, but the light of the dying star can still be saved. The heart of the forest calls out for you. Quickly, we must return to the settlement. It may be a psychers or sorcery that leads us, but in the end, we either help those who await us or purge this world of more corrupted delusions. Let's go to the village." Well, this all sounds very exciting. All we did was kill a homunculus. What the fuck did we start? All we did, but, you know. So what's going on?
Blood for the rogue trader's throne. Skulls for the skull god.
Caligos Winterscale laughs uncontrollably, looking around the blood-soaked village. His eyes are full of rage, as if absolute insanity has possessed him. In hindsight, I absolutely should have seen Caligos being a corn worshipper coming. Wharton the Grey seems hypnotized by his master's words, his bloodshot eyes alight with a slowly growing flame, unnatural, frightening, demonic. The remaining members of Winterscale's retinue have dispersed around the village's center. The navigator apathetically observes the massacre from a distance. The tech priest appears overly fascinated with assembling and disassembling her own leg augmetics, and the sylph mercenary is raising the village, wholly satisfied. Only Caligos' new psyker, Speaks with Gods, is nowhere to be seen. Hello, Spudling. Are you a corn worshipper?
By the golden throne,
In a daze, Argento looks at the butchered bodies of the local villagers, men and women, young and old. What offense did these poor souls commit to deserve such a gruesome fate? I smell corruption. A great deal of foul corruption. Ulfar stares fiercely at the carnage. They were killed not for need or cause, but for pleasure. That I know what bodies look like when someone reveled in the slaughter. They look like this. Ha! Marzai ecstatically breathes in the metal and salt floating in the air. I'm growing fond of this monkey. Caligos turns around and gives you the broadest of smiles. Ah, Ophelia, how was your hunt? This massacre is your doing, is it not? Caligos' smile grows faint, condescending. You convinced me. That's what led to this? To stop hunting the Xenos, new blood. But thirst and melancholy got the better of me sooner than I anticipated. I grew bored, and those worthless peasants squealed so miserably that I wanted to strangle them more and more and more. His eyes briefly glaze over. If Golden Authority ever turned me into such a soulless ashmag, you better shoot me where I stand, Shireen. What happened to you, Caligos? What have you become? What are you saying, new bloods? Have the Xenos saddled your mind in so short a time? Caligos looks at you with a mix of surprise and confusion. Didn't Theodora explain to you that in the Expanse, baseless accusations went out of style a good 100 years ago? You turned a calm settlement into bloody carnage. What other evidence does one need? They were born on my planet, living their pointless lives for a single purpose, to one day satisfy their master. They have fulfilled that purpose. Caligos responds with a crooked grin. The rogue trader seeks to befog your mind, master. Such insolence. Slit her throat quickly. Despite being oblivious to his arch-militant's words, Caligos unwittingly tenses his back and shoulders. The look in his eyes is even more feral now than it was before. I believe that Wharton is the one responsible for your delusion. Back on Targonis, I noticed that he is not who he claims to be, yet you seem to be unwilling to acknowledge it. I raised that boy and taught him how to kill. Yes, Wharton is fearless and fierce, but it's just what one would expect from a loyal dog. Caligos turns around and finally notices the blood-covered arch-militant. Something about the servant seems to have puzzled him. What's wrong with your eyes, Wharton? The arch-militant bares his fangs rapidly. After several moments of silence, Caligos absent-mindedly looks away. Where were we? Ah, yes, new blood. Have I already told you that your accusations are baseless? I know that you killed your own seneschal. What nonsense are you spewing, new blood? Our Drig died at the hands of the Xenos who attacked our camp at night. Either Caligos is a skillful liar or he truly cannot remember what actually happened. Flinching, as if struck by a whip, Caligos stares at the villagers with the look of someone who is seeing it for the first time. Confusion and unease creeps into his gaze. What happened here? Who dared? The realization forms new lines on his face. No. Surely I couldn't have. Or... Your arch-militant is a heretic and servant of chaos. He is the one fanning the flames of your rage. This is your last chance, Caligos. Cleave this upstart in two with the axe that I blessed for you. Skin her and bathe in her blood. We will forget everything and continue on our journey. To hunt and to kill. This is the way you prefer to drown out your loneliness and boredom, is it not? This is all you're doing. You wretched cur! Caligo swings his axe at the arch-militant, but he evades the mortal blow with the grace of a viper. I showed you mercy, and you've been corrupting my soul this entire time, forcing me. No one forced you, Caligos. I merely enabled your desire, fostered it, and made your crimson rage blossom. You suspected, yet your own pride stopped you from recognizing your weaknesses. Wharton's speech becomes more and more distorted with each word, and a thought swells in the back of your mind. You wish to kill him, tear him apart, here, now. Weak, worthless fool! I've spent so many years growing this rage inside you, and still you resist. Did you think you could refuse the blessing of the Skull God at the last moment? Well, one way or another, he will claim you all. Wharton's flesh bursts, and the last thing you notice is his hateful gaze turning to you. Oh. Well. I suppose that simplifies matters somewhat. That was really abrupt. I'm not sure that was the best way to deal with that particular situation. No, I don't mean like on my end. That seems like the best possible outcome, but I'm not sure that was the way to present that. You know what I mean? Caligos Winterscale lies on the ground, staring into the endless sky of Quetzaltemir. His pelvis is twisted unnaturally. His legs are not moving, and an exposed bone shard protrudes from his right arm. Blood streams down his chin in a thin rivulet with no sign of stopping. It was a good fight, New Blood. For the first time, Caligos Winterscale is calm and humble. It was a good fight, Caligos. That it was. What irony. I've waited for so long to find a worthy enemy, but ended up raising one myself, and even appointing him as my right hand. The rogue trader laughs, almost choking on blood. Your spine seems to be damaged. There's no walking with that. It seems you may be correct. Caligos does not look dismayed by your words in the slightest. After all, I can't even feel anything below the chest, aside from an overwhelming feeling of helplessness. Of course. I hope that your people will be able to take care of you. Or should we kill them ourselves? I will take you to the Emperor's vow. There's no need. But if you're so concerned about an old man's health, I shan't stop you. Well. He didn't even have anything on him? Damn.
Keep your wits
Alright,
about
I
you.
guess we'll just walk off and, you know. See, you know, I'm not too hopeful he's gonna make it, to be honest, there. Oh. I was kind of expecting a scene to trigger right there. You know, I was kind of expecting a little dialogue. When we went back to the ship, but I guess not, unless he's on the bridge now. Maybe, you know? Perhaps. I just... That was a very unsatisfying conclusion. You know, like... I said I'd take him to my ship, and then... nothing happened. Maybe on the star map, actually, instead. Anybody? Galagos around? No? Perhaps on the star map, then. Just something, anything, really, at this point? You know? Okay. Alright. Oh, right, of course. We need to talk to Idara now that we did the whole door thing. Of course. I forgot. I completely forgot about that. Because, she's not exactly my favorite character, you know? I don't exactly dislike her, but she kind of just, you know, blank space. Kind of like Heinrich's, you know? Sometimes I can still hear his voice. Idra, how you feeling now, after that whole door thing? Idra, how are you? Not regretting your decision, are you?
Never been better, Lord Captain. No joke. As soon as I stopped fearing for my life, even the voices in my head quieted down. But don't get me wrong, they will come back. And one day I'll find myself in a situation I can't get out of. But for now, I'm fine. And it's all thanks to you. You know, I think it's pretty ironic that my gift lets me see the future, when thinking about the future is the thing I'll do anything to avoid. Substances of all kinds, jokes, stories about their good old days. I hide under them all like a blanket. As long as I don't poke my head out, everything will be okay. At least, that's what I thought. But I'm tired of living other people's stories. I want to tell my own. I don't know when or how mine will come to an end, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that somebody someday tells at least one decent story about Adira Tlass. And I can't think of a better way to do that than by standing shoulder to shoulder with you.
One story, don't sell yourself short. You and I have already had enough adventures to fill a tome.
Then what are we waiting for? Get a scribe in here. We need to get all this down before we forget. But we have to make me more heroic and powerful so that I come out looking the best next to your other companions. What do you reckon? How many wastrels have we slaughtered? 1 million? Stuff that. Let's make it 2.
You've been on the ship's bridge since Footfall, I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Have you recovered from your encounter with the false Theodora?
I'm not going to lie. I haven't. Maybe I never will. But I'm not hearing random voices anymore. And I haven't been calling anyone from the other side. No. All that's done with. After what you did for me, I can't let you down again.
Very well. We'll hope for the best.
Yes, ma'am, Lord Captain.
I must take my leave.
Of course. Always at your service. Whenever you need me.
We don't do mages around here, you know. We do Space Marine and Trukari. Apparently. That's just where we ended up, apparently. Alright. What else do we have to do? Go to Footfall, right. Oh, talk to Nomos? Did we not talk to Nomos? That's also on Footfall. Find anything out about that? Oh, right. Those are things we can't do. Critical tasks. Visit the Forgotten Twin Stars system. Okay. Oh. It's right there. That's convenient. But I have to level up. And do colony management.
Lord Captain, the Crucible's great sculpting is underway. Foulstone is being transformed right before our eyes into a fertile ward with lush groves and clean water. However, there is evidence that the Crucible has also created humans. From the mouth of the relic came several thousand people who, speaking an archaic form of Low Gothic, demanded to be given orders. They cultivate land, build houses, and production facilities with obedience, and, in general, have a remarkable range of skills and knowledge. However, it seems these people completely lack their own free will, and for this the monks have named them Touched.
I don't like that they called them Touched. That is not what my first thought would have been to name a group of automatons that lack free will. Why did they call them Touched?
The tech priests who served the Crucible came upon birthing vats built into the relic. The machine is constantly growing new Touched within them. There is a split among the believers, though many call it a miracle sent by the Emperor himself and want to quickly put the touch to work. A part of the population is frightened by these soulless creatures born from the ancient machine. They demand that the planet's learned men intervene in the great sculpting and find a way to stop the production of the touched.
How dangerous are these touched?
They do not appear to pose a threat. The autopsy of several specimens has shown that they are physiologically identical to ordinary humans. No traces of corruption or xenotampering were found either. However, their obedience is a double-edged sword. They obey any orders without knowing or caring who gives them. Thus, nothing prevents a cunning intruder from bending them to their will, creating an army of obedient slaves or spies at their disposal.
What do you think of my advisors and officers? They were born by the relic of Saint Cognitus, which means they please the Emperor. We have to remind people of it. Arrange a public ceremony of tonsure to initiate the touched into the Order of the Hammer, and a service dedicated to reading parables about the set acts of Saint Cognitus and his followers.
Why don't you make the first move and assemble a mighty force from these touched ones? If they are so obedient and diligent, then they will make fine troops. Assign a loyal commander to each squad to keep an eye on them, and these strange people form a threat into mighty defenders of the Imperium.
Lack of will. Registering a high probability of manufacturing failure within the Crucible's sacred processes, it is recommended to dispose of the finished batch of units and halt production of new ones. The algorithm of the Great Sculpting requires further examination.
All very valid answers.
Okay. Crucible of the Born Tempest. The Touched who were recruited as enforcers gave form to the ancient knowledge stored in their minds by modifying the Void Ship's weapons using sacred archaeotech. Dorsal fin macro cannons, 2-shot steel. That's not exactly crazy good. None of the rewards are particularly interesting, and I can't say I feel a particular pull to any of these options. My problem with Ulfar's suggestion is it still seems too easy to, corrupt them, if you were an intruder, you know? Because it's not as if a commander is going to be able to watch them 24/7 now, are they? Though this apparently gives +2 security, so what do I know? Right, icons of the touched.
Sacred icons painted by the touch adorn the ship's deck. Enemy critical hit chances and warp damage against the flagship are reduced by 30%. Hold a pub... Wait, no, it was this one, right? Yes. Hold a public tonsure ceremony for the Order of the Service, with a service dedicated to Saint Cognitus. I will draft a detailed plan of the ceremony and hand it over to the abbot. Under the guidance of the brothers and the sisters of the Order of the Hammer, the Touched carried on with their toils, cultivating the land and building new settlements. The public induction of the Touched, along with their diligent service, eventually solidified their images in the minds of the people as executors of Saint Cognitus's will, sent down to the faithful to ease their burdens during the great sculpting. Any concerns about the Touched possibly posing a danger were completely dispelled. Delightful. Now, what can we do here? None of the cool stuff. Janus? Nothing going on. Nothing. Alright, that's still happening. This is also still happening. This has not got anything happening. But we can't do any of the cool stuff. Alright. Forgotten Twins. I don't... Why am I clicking on that? I don't really remember why we're coming here, but we are coming here, apparently. So... Jungle World? The Winterscale Dynasty output hails Ophelia von Valancius and thanks her for the help. The locals are indebted to her. Glory to the rogue trader. So true. But what's going on? We actually don't have that much of this anymore. Why was I directed to visit this system? I visited the system. So... Good job. Is something gonna happen when we go back to the star map after visiting? Perhaps anytime now. Take your time. It's okay. There's no rush. I didn't mean to come back to the bridge. That's you know, that's my bad right there. I was just clicking buttons, you know. Well, but there was nothing there. Alright, let's just go to footfall, man.
A report from the middle deck, Lord Captain. Immediately after our translation from the warp, there were reports on the Vox channels about black creatures appearing all over the place. The witness accounts claim they emerged straight from the shadows, and it was your pet Xenos Marzai that they were interested in. Several enforcers perished in the battle, but we managed to avoid significant casualties. Your Xenos took out the aggressors. I would not be bothering you with this if we had determined how the creatures got onto the ship. Until we know for sure, we won't be able to stop future incursions.
Has Marzai been questioned about the incident?
No. Since the incident on the officer's deck, everyone has been giving him a wide berth.
Victus's voice is trembling slightly. It appears even she is afraid of approaching the Xenos. I will immediately talk to the Xenos and find out what happened.
Thank you, Lord Captain.
Alright, Marzai. What did you do this time?
Rogue trader.
I received a report that you were attacked by some creatures from the shadows.
I have some recollection. What is it to you?
I demand an explanation for one thing. What were they?
It was the mandrakes that I used to get you before. Creatures from the depths of Camorra. They thought they could ambush me here on this barge of yours. I taught them a painful lesson. I carved the symbol of Azuriesh on one's throat and hurled it back into the shadows to serve as a message to whoever dares to come for me the next time. If they come calling again, they'll be given the same welcome that I gave them before. So temper your fear. The mandrakes are only interested in getting to me, and I know how to deal with unwanted visitors. Then go.
Well, that was a surprisingly simple resolution to the situation. I'm not sure why I had to come back to the bridge for that, to be honest. An auxiliary generator chamber on the artillery deck was overgrown with the thick stems of some thorny plant. The voidsman reported the vegetation with throbbing and sighing, and when they tried to lop off an offshoot, the cut started oozing a disgusting pus. Some officers claimed to have heard someone trapped among the thorns. The desperate weeping of a woman's voice echoed from inside the compartment. Send a flamethrower squad. Yeah, fuck it. Send a flamethrower squad to burn away the infection. The flame has been reluctant to take hold, barely flickering on the thorny vines at first. The warp creature begged endlessly for mercy, its soft voice full of genuine suffering. But the God Emperor protects his servants. When the vile spawn caught fire at last, only its oily ashes were left behind. Ah, just cargo. Okay. Alright. We're home. Footfall. After so long, we're back again.
Lord Captain, we've received a Vox message from Footfall. The Inquisition has declared martial law on the station due to the threat of the Malleus extremists. Docking will require special permission, and even most of the asteroids have been cordoned off. The station's custodian, Her Ladyship Incendia Chorda, sends her greetings and invites your ladyship to disembark at the docks with a small retinue. Her enforcers will meet you there to escort you to another chamber for a private audience. The Vox crackles with static, and Jai's honeyed voice fills the air. Vigdis, the salve for my heart. Forgive the intrusion, but I have important business with the rogue trader. Oh, Shireen, I simply wish to remind you about my numbskull crew who got themselves captured by some rival ashmags. Vladium is too occupied for schemes, and besides, Incendia Chorda has already put him in his place, which leaves only Falco. May the Ozzy tear his soul to pieces. Footfall is straight ahead, and I would rather not waste the precious sand still left in the hourglasses of their lives. He threw a wrench into the works, making my trade network fall apart like a badly assembled Chrono? Yes. No income, no profits, only damages, all because my right hand is chained up on one of Footfall's asteroids. How about we pay Falco a courtesy visit? I'm sure your imposing visage will loosen his tongue, and maybe, just maybe, untie the hands of my crew. Let's go and see what happened to your crew. Shireen, have I ever mentioned that you are the most fragrant rose bush in the entire blossoming garden of the Cronus Expanse? If this is all you have to say...
The Voxmaster unceremoniously boots Jai from the channel.
Apologies, Lord Captain. What will be your instructions?
What other landing options are there?
We have none, Lord Captain.
The augurs are reporting all docking gates are watched, not watched by the enforcers, or locked and rigged with explosives. Very well, let's take a look at Footfall's new hospitality.
As you wish, Lord Captain.
Down we go. Yep, that's all right. Okay. Hey there. How are you doing working under Incendia Chorda's rule? Information request accepted. Acceptable response found. Hear and heed. The rogue trader unit Incendia Bastal Chorda and the said unit's actions have no significant effect on the operation of this Explorator Cognitus fleet mission, since the said unit has no jurisdiction over the Adeptus Mechanicus or any assets thereof. Glory to the Omnissiah. Great. Fantastic news, brother. We already know who you are. You know, we've spoken to you before, so... Oh. Immune to burning. Removed from all adjacent allies. I feel like we already got one of those at some point.
I always have a backup plan.
Well, Shireen, what do we have here? A cowardly ashmag who wants to get his paws on my certificate without even working up a sweat. Considering the circumstances currently affecting Footfall, the only fitting place this filth could be hiding is in the sewers. Jai's nose wrinkles at the very prospect. A nasty spot with a powerful whiff about it, that is true. But I swear to you, Shireen, you won't come up with a better trap for Falco. I know these tunnels like the back of my hand, and the most delicious part of all of that is that Ashmag chose to go in there. He'll wish he hadn't. Of course, that's only if the Aussie don't mess things up for us and everything goes to plan. And if it doesn't... Jai breaks off, her shoulders sagging under the weight of her doubts. If it doesn't, my gang are dead, Shireen. One wrong move, one wrong word. Gah! Throne damn that Ashmag. Why is everything so difficult? Perhaps I should give him the perhaps I should give him the Macartum Tabula Officiale. Falco's not a complete idiot. He won't risk such a valuable payoff. He'll hold up his end of the bargain and give me Tora and the others. Explain your plan in more detail. The gist is that we need to go down into the sewer tunnels of Footfall, connect a tank of sleeping gas to the old ventilation system, and direct the airflow to Falco's hideout. And of course, pray to the Exalted One that the Ashmag's jackals don't spot us. It's true, Shireen, it's going to be a little trickier than it seems. Falco is desperate, so he's bound to have his thugs patrolling the tunnels. If we go crashing around down there, he'll know something's afoot. And when Falco's jumping, Jag's nostrils flare with impotent rage. Heads roll. Where are we going to get a tank of sleeping gas? Jai stares at you, trying to decide if you are joking or completely serious. What do you take me for? I've acquired it already. Don't worry, I have everything covered. Okay, how do we get into these tunnels? Most of the passages have been sealed off by Chorda's hounds, but there is one way they definitely haven't got to. Jai visibly perks up and winks at you. Time to pay a visit to Octi and the Adeptus Amascus, Shireen. Come, it's time to enter the sewers. To the Amascus we go, Shireen. Or do you have other pressing business to attend to on the way there? I'm pretty sure the palace is on the way.
Research desecrated by the Xenos Cervantes, I hereby declare subject to purgative eradication. The sacrilege committed in them should not be comprehended.
And what? You're not tempted to make an exception? You're not going to declare it the property of the priesthood and take it over? I suppose I can see why. Even I don't want to deal with the shit that Homunculus did.
Weird to bring that up now, but whatever. I see.
Let us not dawdle.
Well, it looks like things are going great back here. Heresy. Piracy. Heresy. Piracy. Dissent. Blasphemy. Okay. Hey there, Hieronymus. Hieronymus's gaze is alight with awe. He breathes in the smell of burnt flesh and promethium and says to you, "Behold, noble Ophelia, As footfall transforms before your very eyes, in the wake of your toils, this den of depravity will once again become a testament to the Emperor's greatness, as was its original design. Does it bring you delight?
Did we not do this? The cultist den in the shadow quarters has been cleared out? Oh. I never talked to him again? Okay. I don't even remember this. Your expedition perished. He studies the diary for a while in silence, then says grimly,
Captain Vitkill was a kind but fallible man. But so was my brother in service, Gravik.
So were the oh wait, no, I do remember. This was the Gene Stealer place, wasn't it?
So were the 4,822 pilgrims who boarded the Wasteland Wayfarer many years ago. It grieves me that their kind failed the test that the Void presented them with. Let their deaths serve as a reminder to us. Corruption has many faces and can stain even the purest of souls. Thank you for the news, Lord Captain. Colony Minoris is hereby officially declared fallen and lost.
I must take my leave. I was sort of expecting more conversation out of that, given everything happening around us right now, but, you know. Cool. Oh wait, these are different ones. Blasphemy. Heresy. Heresy.
Is there money to be made?
Anver. Oh, you look like you're having a great time. Have mercy, our families are starving. We've only taken a couple of Nutri-bars. Ah, you confessed right there, brother. Lies, I can see clearly with my naked eye the corruption that has engulfed your nature. Only the cleansing fire can absolve you now. Guilty.
Brother, get the flamer. The heavy flamer.
Oh, fuck. She took that plasma shot like a champion, though. So, I've got some feedback on the way you're running things here. Incendia Chorda is absorbed in reading a long strip of parchment. Her left hand is holding a silver spoon with which she is carefully scooping up brain matter from the open skull of the man contorted next to her. She's doing what? Okay. Ophelia von Valancius, I have been informed of your arrival. Exhaustion has crisscrossed Incendia's features with lines. Her cheek is twisted in a continuous nervous tick, yet her eyes are ablaze with indomitable resolve. A brilliant aura of power and righteous fury surrounds her like a mantle. She gracefully brings a gold-plated inhaler to her lips, takes a deep breath, and the fire in her gaze flares like a plasma thruster. What is this abominable act his daughter is committing? The Sister of Battle whispers incredulously as she stares at Chorda's monstrous feast. There must be a reason. Marazai's eyes are locked on the wretched soul who has had his skull carved open. The corner of his mouth is twitching, stretching his gaunt face into a twisted grin. One look at Incendia's full dress uniform shows that it has not been changed in many days. The collar is greasy and the laces are stained with sweat. The air is tinged with the smell of an inhaled stimulant that is used to give serfs the ability to work multiple watches without rest. What is that?
Incendia sinks her silver spoon into the man's brain and slowly consumes this revolting morsel. I must... What the fuck am I about to read? I must know the taste of a criminal's thoughts. It is how I learn to recognize their patterns. This entertainment of yours reeks of corruption. Marzai flinches but reacts too slowly to stop you. He turns away with a resentful hiss, visibly disappointed. Incendia does not bat an eye at the man's death. A laughable accusation. Do you think yourself capable of detecting corruption? Look, I don't claim to be the Emperor's most loyal follower or anything, but this isn't exactly subtle, is it? I don't know many Emperor-worshipping people that would be eating the brain out of a still-alive man's skull. That's some shit we would see on Camera. Something wild sparks in her pale eyes. You know not the first thing about perceiving it, sensing it, peering into people's souls and seeing the heinousness therein. You do not know what it's like to look at their faces and see that brand of their impious deeds. But I know it all too well, and none will escape my wrath. What manner of slaughterhouse is this? Some atrocious travesty of justice? Incendia jerks her chin up and responds haughtily, This is true justice, unprejudiced, inescapable, and equally merciless to all. The Lord Inquisitor has bestowed upon me the honor of bringing order to this cesspool of pirates and heretics, to rid Footfall of the corruption that's fettered its limbs and turned this imperial station into a hotbed of free thinking and inefficiency, and I will not rest until all have been judged. Incendia stares at you with a predatory smile. It must have been the Emperor's providence that brought you here to my court. It would be my pleasure to indict you for the crimes you've committed. Go ahead, this should be interesting. The warrior clad in armor adorned with the sign of the Inquisition speaks in a voice that is even and dry like paper. The Lord Inquisitor is aware of Rogue Trader von Valancius' arrival on Footfall. He allowed it and gave no order of persecution. Rather, the Lord Inquisitor's will is that the Rogue Trader von Valancius be treated with the respect befitting her high status. In her assertions, Lady Chorda is getting dangerously close to abusing her authority and violating the chain of command. This is your warning. Getting close to abusing her authority, huh? Only getting close. Incendia's pale cheek is hit by a spasm. Her lips curl as she mutters, I have no intention of questioning the Lord Inquisitor's orders. Perhaps he wishes to receive you in one piece so that he may conduct a personal interrogation. Those of you who acknowledge me as your sovereign are viewed by the law as subjects of House von Valancius, and therefore are exempt from Chorda's judgment. I will take you aboard my ship. The hopeful crowd in the atrium starts hysterically clamoring their oaths of fealty to House von Valancius. Not one of them thinks twice about clutching at the life-saving straw you have offered them. Incendia's wearily leans on an armrest and looks at you with contempt. Take this pitiful gaggle of miscreants, Ophelia, if you so desire. My trial will not end here. I have the whole of Footfall to judge. I do so badly want to do this, but given the Inquisitor has put her in charge, we will abstain for now. So you're in charge of Footfall now. Okay, cool. Indeed I am. When the Lord Inquisitor enacted a martial law in the Expanse, I offered him my support at once. Footfall was chosen as the Lord Inquisitor's headquarter, and the position of Footfall's liege was temporarily abolished while this war lasts. Or perhaps longer than that. All authority was transferred to the station's wardens, to me. While the Lord Inquisitor is preoccupied with the matter of strategic planning, I am tasked with security and order. And there is much to do on that front. Pirates and smugglers, apostates and cold traders, deserters and outlaws. Every one of them warrants attention. Cracking her neck, stiff from many hours of reading documents, Incendia once again scoops up the brain matter from the open skull of the poor fellow standing next to her with a silver spoon, despite the fact you killed him several text boxes ago. Everywhere you look, servants are bustling under heavy stacks of new denunciations, warrants, and other matters. I can tell you're quite popular with the locals. This attempt was mediocre and far from the first, but my enforcers and my throne keep me safe. Incendia pats an armrest and smiles. Its refractor shield is impervious to even tank shells. That thief Takara had this sacred Jerusian relic stashed in one of his storerooms. Where is the Lord Inquisitor? In the Liege's chambers, coordinating the Expanse's defense. His attention is focused on matters of vital importance, and he is not seeing any supplicants. The soldier wearing inquisitorial armor echoes Incendia's words. Your ladyship cannot see the Lord Inquisitor now. However, he bade to inform your ladyship he will summon you later when the circumstances permit him to do so. Whom do you judge? All of them! Thieves, smugglers, pirates, traitors, heretics, deserters, abettors, harborers, cowards, and perjurers. Any who has ever trespassed. Any who has ever protected a miscreant or crept quiet about a crime they knew of. They all will be condemned. With obsessive determination, Incendia starts going through her papers, seemingly no longer aware she is doing so. More and more new convicts are being granted the boon of undergoing servitude in perpetuitas and having rid themselves of sinful consciousness, of serving the Imperium free from doubt and weakness. Footfall will once again become a bastion of law and righteousness. I will eradicate all heresy that prevents the faithless from giving themselves over to the good of toiling in his name. How long has your court been in session already? Incendia seems slightly perplexed by your question. She starts moving signed sentences from one stack to another, then says uncertainly, 3 weeks? The court carries on day and night, so my sense of time eludes me. You know, I really just don't know what to say about this, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, it's a real man moment. You know what I mean? I can see how after being awake for 3 weeks straight, though, you might say to yourself, you know, if I ate somebody's brain, perhaps then I would understand how the criminals think. You know, after just 3 fucking weeks, you know, you might start to believe that. There's nothing just about this trial. Your accusations are contrived, and their purpose is simply to turn the entire population of Footfall into pliant automatons. Do you think I find enjoyment in this? Yes. Looking at vileness upon vileness. Listening to one excuse after another. I loathe this and despise every malefactor out there. If I were weak of will, I would have obliterated this foul station with nuclear fire. Instead, I'm here to offer each of them the right to be judged in his name and the chance to return to his fold renewed. The universe is a terrifying place. We are surrounded by the archenemy's machinations and Xeno scum who would deny us our right to exist. The threat is inconceivable, and human weakness will not help us avert it. If man is weak, I rid him of his spinelessness and feebleness, endowing him with a sacred narrowness of mind and eradicating all that prevents him from utilizing his whole self in service of the Imperium.
She is not lying. You can tell by her eyes and her voice, trembling with earnest faith, that Incendia genuinely believes in every word she just said. What makes you think you're entitled to govern this place as you see fit?
Such is the law of footfall. Any rogue trader who arrives here assumes the right of absolute territory. Surely it is not that cutthroat Takara who deserves to rule this station. He will soon be hanging from a noose, and so will his Casbalican henchmen, and so will those Anver firebrands whose outrageous activities brought Footfall so much grief.
She looks at you with a gloating smirk.
Once you hindered my efforts to subdue this station, and yet here I am now, dispensing justice to the wicked. I only regret that I was unable to get started sooner. Then Takara's troublemakers would have already been crushed, instead of lurking in cargo bays and maintenance tunnels. Regardless, I will deal with them soon enough.
We shall see whether Footfall will thank the Emperor for your reign.
In due time I will weed out all the taint that has bred here on Footfall for so long, and then pious fear, loyalty, and devotion will once again become the pillars of this station under his watchful eye.
What happened between you and Winterscale?
Winterscale is a traitor. While the Expanse burns, ravaged by heretics and unhallowed Xenos, he abandoned his duty completely and had the nerve to ignore the Lord Inquisitor's call to battle. My servants are taking over his worlds and ships, while he is hiding from reckoning and indulging his base urges. Soon enough, he too will stand before judgment.
Have you and Caligos lost your minds? The Expanse is a calamitous state, and you two are busy settling scores. You must cease this at once. Negotiating with that mad dog is off the table now. He will merely laugh at your talks of reconciliation and execute your envoys. For too long has Caligos reveled in impunity and believed himself to be the king of his world. Enough words, your accused awaits, and so do my duties.
Wait, you have a duty to the Emperor that you must see to. Vladium Takara, the deplorable rebel who once ruled this station, has slipped away from me. He is instigating the people to revolt, killing my servants, and hiding from my wrath with the dexterity of a void rat. My informers claim he often appears in the den of unrest that bears the irreverent name of the Adeptus Amascus. We've made several attempts to arrest him, yet he evaded capture each time. Reverend Hieronymus has gone there to convince him to surrender quietly, but his efforts have likewise been unsuccessful. In the interest in Footfall's integrity, Takara must be apprehended. As the rogue trader in authority, I order you to aid me in bringing him to justice. I will do no such thing, and will do everything in my power to do the opposite of what you tell me to. The asteroid where the Adeptus Amascus is located has been cordoned off, but my enforcer will take you there. I want you to lure Takara out of his hole and seize him so that he may stand trial. Do this for the sake of Footfall's liberation and pave the road that my justice will tread.
You pronounced Vadium a criminal?
Why wouldn't I? That vile rogue's infamy is known to all. He patronized thieves, smugglers, and pirates. By his allowance, heresies and unholy cults flourished. That he has evaded punishment this long can only be described as gross negligence, which I intend to rectify before long.
Why did Hieronymus go to the Adeptus Amascus?
Reverend Hieronymus headed where the rebels are seen most often, so he could preach to them and sway them to repent. Alas, he still cannot see the difference between those who have erred and those who are beyond any hope of redemption.
And what do I stand to gain?
Does it not satisfy you that order and imperial compliance will be restored on footfall? I see you adopted too much from Theodora, namely her hubris, greed, and indifference to duty. I will drag Gladium to this court. Your cooperation will be taken into account. But remember, and Cynthia's eyes flash menacingly, none of the rebel leaders are allowed to die before their trial. I forbid you to execute them without my leave. Oh, don't worry, I definitely won't be executing them. You definitely don't have to worry about that. Nah. Trash. Alright. Can't investigate that guy? Okay. Man. You know.